Welcome back, Warriors. Hello and good afternoon. What we're doing today is something really good. Warrior Waldo and myself, have been really looking at some of these mainstream media issues that we've found, and part of them, and it's not just now. It's prior to. We have been seeing this for years. It's double standards in media, and that's what we're going to try to go over today because we live in some sort of fair world, and yet still at the highest levels of media, there's double standards, and we're trying to flesh some of those out. Warrior Waldo, you've been talking about a few good examples that have happened recently.
Yeah. Um, so I think this video could be entitled a couple of things. We're talking about double standards in media. You could call it bias in the media. You can call it
Okay.
censorship in the media. Warrior Wook, are you familiar with the word snowflake?
Yes. I'm from
Snowflake is
California,
a
of course.
term, yeah. Snowflake is a term that each side accuses the other of being so fragile that they can't have the opinion of the other person. And they
Right.
accuse each other, left or right, progressive or conservative, whatever you are. If you can't handle their views, you're a snowflake. And this snowflake really applies to me in today's media. Okay, I'm going to give you some examples of what I found on all the major social media platforms, but also on mainstream TV media as well. Um, People accuse it of mostly propaganda filled. A lot of these news networks are accused of being very left leaning, progressive,
Accused of.
democratic leaning. And
Okay.
therefore, whenever they spirit their view, Fox News, whoever calls it propaganda.
Sure.
And of course, the left does it right back to Fox News. They say they're spewing propaganda about Trump. And you know what? I think they're both right.
Probably.
I think it's propaganda on both sides. Um, but because it leans to the left, they demonize people who are pro life versus pro choice. The flavor of the month or whatever is to be pro choice. I'll be honest with you. I'm pro choice. I don't know how you feel about it, but if you have the opposing view, which you may or may not,
I just need a girlfriend.
okay.
I'm not even
Well,
at the
see,
point of having children.
just a
Hi,
side note.
girls.
You bring that up. It's a good point. Just a little side note. Most men I know, they're either pro life or pro choice based on how their girlfriend or wife feels. How do you feel about it? You're pro choice. Yeah, I'm pro choice view. Are you pro life? Yeah, me. I'm
I'm
pro
sorry.
life too. Because despite what some people think, most men I know are not that invested in what women do with their bodies. We just don't sit around worrying about it, dwelling about it. I support whatever my significant other wants. I'm in
Sure.
her corner. She's pro choice, I'm in her corner. She's pro life, I'm in her corner. And some people's like, well, you're just being a wussy because you're not having your own opinion, your own belief. No. I support whatever's best for the woman I'm with. That's it. I have no choice to decide. I'm getting off on a tangent about pro life, pro choice, but I just don't have a. I support. I would support her, and I think that's the man's job to support her, whatever she
Sure.
does. Anyway, that was
Well,
just one of them.
that's another double standard we can talk to on another video.
Woo, boy, getting on that one.
Ah!
You know what Elon Musk is?
Yes, of course.
Okay, Elon Musk turned Twitter into X,
Yes.
and he has since been demonized by the left because he reopened Trump's account and other right wing people's accounts to express their opinion because the left side before Elon Musk bought Twitter was canceling people. This is censorship. This is not freedom of speech. They were canceling people for having what they called far right wing agenda, and I forgot what the other name they used to call them, but basically they were Nazis as far as I'm concerned, and they were
Oh well.
spewing hate. They were spewing this. I mean, misogyny, uh, sexism, racial. They use all the same. They have on the same terms to justify canceling someone's account. You may not agree with someone's opinion, but canceling their account because you don't agree with it, that's not freedom of speech. It goes against everything we stand for. I do not agree with a lot of what, or maybe even what most Trump says, but I fully support his right to say it. And I fully support his right to have the same access, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or whatever, to put out his point as the rest of them do. Canceling him is not American. Okay, there's also a belief that most people on the side of media are what they do. You know the word woke.
Sure.
It's a word that was originally came out that had all the right intentions to talk about injustices of the world.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when LeBron James at the ESPYs one time wore his "Stay Woke" shirt. No, man, it really got momentum. The term had very good intentions. It has been bastardized by the right now. Anything that leans their way, their belief is considered woke. You're too woke. The media is too woke. This is one of the biases I'm talking about. You sit there and you have an opinion, you're either a snowflake or you're too woke. They have the term "go woke, go broke" for these companies are trying what the right would call progressive agendas, and they're losing money over it. Maybe they are, maybe they're not. I think ESPN, people are saying they're losing all their memberships because they're too woke and left leaning. I think it's because with the introduction of, and I do it all the time, I don't know about you, but the introduction of YouTube, where I could just get clips of all the sports I want to watch and get the downloaded or the concentrated version where they just do all the highlights. If I want to check the score of a game, I don't have to wait for ESPN Sports Center to come out at 6 o'clock. I can look at my phone right away. So that's why they blocked, because the access to sports is all over and they're lost of viewers. That to me is the real reason, but the right would have you believe, no, they're too woke and they're losing all their
whatever fits their particular agenda.
DEI criticism is not allowed. Now, this is something that me and you might have a problem with because we've expressed our own criticisms about DEI.
Check out those videos.
And when you check out those videos, when YouTube gets a hold of them, it's going to be interesting what they do with them because it was a shots fired kind of situation. We expressed our displeasure, our problems with it. And if you do that, I've known people on Facebook who write stuff about DEI and in general who've gotten their posts canceled.
Ooh.
By whoever the moderator was, either the Facebook moderator or the group moderator. Cancels their statement, maybe even cancels their account because they're spreading whatever. When all you're doing is expressing a legitimate problem, as me and you did, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that video about DEI.
And we got a lot of information in there too, so it will be quite interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. And the last one, and I saw this one recently, it talked about bias in the narrative, it talked about women's issues. There was a belief back in the 2016 election that if a woman didn't support Hillary Clinton, there's a special place in hell for her. Because of her gender, they pushed the belief that you need to vote for Hillary Clinton. Never mind what she's going to do for the economy, or if you believe in her policies, which, let's be honest, she lost the election because no one knew her policies. She was just trying to ride the wave that Obama for 8 years did. She thought, well, I'm just going to see what he says or not change anything. I'll just get elected. She found out, no, you need to be out there
doing something.
Doing something. These are my policies. This is what I'm going to do. She didn't do anything. She just assumed the election was hers. She was told the election was hers, and she lost it. I don't think they're ever going to make that mistake again.
Not if they don't want to win. Or not if they do want to win, excuse me.
I mean, me and you earlier were discussing so many different examples of censorship or bias or whatever in the hypocrisy in the media. How about you? Have you seen any examples?
Well, like you were talking about earlier, and for the different reasons it was both sides of the argument, but the RG3 and Samantha Ponder firings from
absolutely.
ESPN. Like, what I mean, okay, you don't want to take a side, cool, but you're just going to fire both people because they have opposing views? I mean, it just...
And, right, I mean, I can only assume an ESPN has never come out and said this, but
Wow.
you're not allowed to have a view one way or another, and about transgender people playing in women's sports in particular. And I know some men's sports will apply too, but you never hear any complaints about that. So it's specifically transgender women playing in women's sports. Sorry, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
No, I just going off of our conversations earlier. Just it seems so silly to have what I mean. They call it standards. They want to stay away from it. Fine. If if you're not an individual who has a whole lot of money, that sort of if you need that money, that would certainly censor you because you want that money. Some people are at the point where they have the fu money. They're like, I don't need this, so they can feel like they have more opinions, and then they get fired for having that opinion. Just that's so stupid. I mean, there was double standards at a few different news groups, and there's
Absolutely.
always different double standards.
There
Excuse
is.
me, for news organizations. So that might be another video to get into.
No, that applies to this, I think.
So just I don't understand how like at Fox News, Tucker Carlson was fired for all of the lawsuits nonsense, blah blah blah. But then you have two other individuals who, okay, maybe they weren't at the front of the line because Tucker Carlson was, but they were right behind him, and they
Okay.
didn't get fired. And it's like, what?
Well,
Did
let
you
me
just need a
ask-
scapegoat because of the lawsuits? Like, I mean, I'm not subscribing either way. It just seems like a complete double standard that they fire one guy for this reason, but other people because they still needed to have viewership, and they couldn't just fire everyone. Like,
Okay, but let me ask you this along those lines. You're talking about people getting fired. Tucker Carlson got fired because of a lawsuit reason. He was found complacent in something.
right?
Other people who agree with Tucker Carlson, do you believe they deserve to be fired too? Or are they allowed to express their opinion just like everyone else is?
I suppose in this particular situation, I'd go back to the ESPN thought process. Are you doing it for ESPN? No, but are you a face and a personality of ESPN, and thus people can make the inference from that? I mean,
Well, that's exactly what they did.
it seems like there wasn't a whole lot of thought going into let's just fire both of them. Like that seems like something maybe you would do in the middle of like a war or something. Just get rid of this particular threat, and we don't have to worry about it. But they're people. People are people. There's going to be more people who have opinions on things, and
But
if
they
they're
shouldn't
not
lose
doing
their
it,
job over it.
especially if they're not using your that particular platform, like they're not on ESPN representing
Right.
ESPN saying this or that. To my knowledge, they were only on their own
Yes, they
Twitter
were
X
not
Spaces.
representing ESPN, but their faces. Jamel Hill, several years ago,
That's yes,
she got fired for nothing she said on ESPN's platform. She expressed her own view, which I think they assumed at the time it was called Twitter. They can use their own accounts to say whatever they want. And she got fired unfairly. Very unfairly in my opinion.
sure.
But ESPN said, no, you're taking a side on something. Even though you weren't on our platform, you're not allowed to have an opinion. I want to get to someone else real quick, and I just had this thought in my head. Me and you discussed this before. Having an opposing opinion that the other side may not like, and getting counsel for it is wrong. But spreading lies, you should not be defended on these platforms. I was a Mina Kimes fan on ESPN. She accused Clay Travis of misogyny and sexism and racism against her and her family, and when he simply asked her, provide the receipts, Show me where I've said these things.
Yeah, provide the evidence, right?
She couldn't provide anything. But she's defended by all her friends on her side of the platform. Yeah, exactly. It makes me want to do it too. She's being defended on her side of the platform. No one's asking her, making her show the receipts where Clay Travis said these things. But she has this backing, this comfort zone to go on these social media platforms. She was on Dan Le Batard's show, I think it was. Very left leaning. And she could say whatever she wants. She could accuse of whatever she wants, and it's perfectly okay. I would not be surprised that at the end of this, it's Clay Travis who gets canceled because of all these things. I am all for expressing opinion, but this is another example of bias or hypocrisy in the media. The liar, that as far as we know, is getting backed up by her side, and therefore most of the social media platforms are backing her up for saying what she said, because she accuses, she's holding him responsible for all his followers, the crap that he says. Even though he has come out and said, me and your followers saying the same crap to me, you don't see me accusing you of it.
Duh.
You know, yeah, I can go on and on by examples. How about you?
It just. How does one control the mob? Especially if you're not part of the mob. Like, okay, his followers, her followers. You can't. They're just they follow you because you are interesting. Nobody follows us currently because we're not interesting. So, if we're gonna go follow Clay or Mina, and we still have that freedom of speech that you eloquently told us, what they can't be responsible for what I say
No,
because I'm the one who's saying it. But
100% correct. You're
just
100% correct. But to me, I often, when ESPN comes up with their topics, what they're going to talk about, I usually accuse them using Twitter as their truth Bible. What do I mean by that? I mean, if it's said on Twitter, they must represent the masses. Therefore, it's a problem. Cam Newton was accused a bunch of people of being racial toward him, being this, and no one could find any proof of it. And Stephen A. Smith went on and says, well, we don't know what they're saying on his Twitter account. They're probably saying a lot of stuff. Anyone who's famous gets a lot of stuff. You cannot hold Twitter responsible for this. You do this on your A block on First Take, talk about racism and it's Cam Newton, when there's no proof of it except for the Twitter dorks are going there who probably accuse everybody of everything under the sun. And this is what, to me, is what led to Twitter, before Musk took over, canceling people's accounts and censorship and censoring them, which is very anti-American.
And yet it still goes on. And yet people still do what they do, even though we know better.
Exactly.
People are wonderful. So, talking about wonderful people, how about you maybe subscribe, smash that share button, and hopefully one of your individuals can see one of our individuals. For all of us, to all of you,
Peace
have
out.
a good one.